Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and you'll notice there's something a little bit different in the prop department today. No, it's not my helmet, and no, it's not my cool clamp, but it's a big ass plant over there because the wife, Lisa D, said to me, you really need a few more props and you need to green up your settings so that you look better. So she goes, get a plant that's just like you. She always says men are like house plants, just water them occasionally and they do, and they just grow. So I got a happy plant because I'm a very, very happy person. Now with that, today we're going to discuss one of my favourite topics, and it's going to be a very intense topic in the next few months, the concept of autonomous vehicles or robotaxis. Now, we've covered self-driving before. That's a little bit different. Self-driving is where you own a car and you can get it to drive you around, which is working, like basically that part of autonomy is very, very nearly solved with the Tesla full self-driving. You can drive for hours now without an intervention, and it is just amazing stuff. You know, it is probably the most advanced AI on the planet, certainly more so than just large language models, which are very simplistic in comparison. Now, this is nothing new if you're an old movie fan. Who remembers Total Recall? Great army movie with the Johnny Cab. Now, that was a self-driving vehicle with a fake person in it to talk to the operator. And, the rider, and yeah, we all know what ended up happening to Johnny. Maybe Justin can just show us a little bit, but he got, a bit like my plant, uprooted. I think he did, yeah, thrown out. But anyway, we'll show you.
I'm not familiar with that address. Would you please repeat that?
The big thing about a robotaxi is that it won't have pedals, it won't have a steering wheel. It won't be yours unless you're an operator and you buy them to use in a fleet, which I'm sure will be heavily regulated. But it's a device, so you will call it up like you call an Uber on an app, and it'll just pull up, take you, drop you off, and then go park you, or park itself. The thing about this is the costs. If we have a look at the cost breakdown, the costs are projected to be nothing in comparison to conventional forms of transport. That's great for people that live in big cities because public transport's a pain. Rideshare driving is expensive and only getting more expensive, and driving yourself, well, that's possibly the most expensive of all. So the costs are going to be a real big thing, and we look forward to it being quite cheap. Whether it works out that way, you know, the devil's always in the details, isn't it? Not actually sure. Look at me, I'm reading off notes today, so I'm getting it wrong. I'll be like the teleprompter. I'd like to introduce the president of Ukraine, Mr. Putin. No, that didn't actually work too well, did it? I don't know what he was thinking there. But the Tesla Robotaxi is a pretty good, cool thing. I mean, it's released on the 10th of the 10th. It was going to be the 8th of the 8th, but there was a couple more months of tweak needed in design. Apparently they're going to show a lot more, but it's a Franz von Holzhausen thing. I think it'll be a little stainless jigger like the Cybertruck, but probably, or definitely a lot smaller. It'll have no pedals and steering wheel. This I know because that was something Big Daddy Alona put his foot down about and said, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this properly. So there's a bit of a view of what it might look like. I mean, no one really knows. They've only shown tiny little sneak angles of the vehicle and tiny little bits of an app screen. It'll be interesting to see what happens where if there is a takeover needed or if it does something wrong, how they're going to correct it. So I'm really looking forward to this because it is going to change the whole concept of personal transportation, particularly in big cities. Car ownership will no longer be a required thing unless you're a car nut like me or enthusiast. I mean, for a lot of Australians, it won't be so big here because of the vast distances we travel. But in the States, in Europe and in China in particular, it's a no-brainer. If you're not into cars and you don't want to own a car, all you got to do is own a Robotaxi app and one will come and pick you up and drop you off, just like Johnny. And if you don't like it, you can rip him out the floor and throw him out the window and take over yourself. No, you can't. So yeah, I think it's pretty good being all app-based. That's the only thing you'll own is the app on your phone. You'll summon, and it's kind of like an Uber, except little bit fresher on the inside and not as expensive. And yeah, there is a patented self-cleansing system, an air freshening system for the Tesla Robotaxi at least, so it can clean itself. You know, after a run, that might be really important if there's been a late night kebab over 62 pints of beer, because I don't think it's going to know if you're too drunk to be picked up. So there could be a bit of mess. Obviously, there's some creases to iron out. But self-driving cabs aren't new. Well, not in America and China at least. There are a couple of companies around doing it. The most famous would be Waymo, who do San Francisco, and they use those, I think they were using Jaguars or something, EVs. Big bulbous looking stupid things. But there's a big difference between that and the Tesla Robotaxi. The Waymo stuff can only go on mapped courses, and it must use LiDAR, which it's radar-based system, and it's on a fully mapped sort of course. You can't go up a foreign road that it doesn't know, because it won't know how to drive itself up there, which makes its use case fairly limited. Apparently it's pretty impressive till it comes across something like major construction works that it doesn't know are there, and then it can just do all sorts of things, mainly stop. And you can, I believe there's a complaint system, and you can get the external controllers in the control room, wherever they be, probably in San Francisco, will take over and get you out of that situation. I believe the same thing is happening in China, which is where there are a couple of, I think it's Bayu, or I don't know, there's all sorts of small startups doing it there. None of them hugely effective, and they're going to be shaking in their boots a little bit, because a Tesla FSD is just about to be licensed in China, so Robotaxi will be a go there. I expect this is not financial advice, but I expect this to move the stock more than a late night Musk tweet, but probably in the right direction rather than the wrong direction, you know, funding secured. Yeah, this is going to be a great time. Now, like it or hate it, I'll always have my own cars, and I will always use a Robotaxi if it's around and I'm going out, you know what I mean? Parking fees, fuel cost, or charging cost me, whatever. You're not going to get door banged. You don't have to hand your car over to some 18-year-old valet that's going to fully Ferris Bueller it. And if you don't know what that is, Justin's going to show you. Aren't you, Justin? Yep. And yeah, I think it's great. I think it's going to move the stock, and I think it's a whole new world, and we're lucky enough that we're here to see it right now. So thank you once more. And actually, no, don't thank you. If you think I'm wrong, and some of you think I'm wrong, I dare you, take me on in the comments below, because I've pretty much got an answer for everything. Goodbye.